Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Manydown Executive Committee. We're not expecting any fire evacuation today. There are no fire alarms scheduled for this afternoon. Therefore, if the fire alarm sounds, please evacuate the building immediately. The fire exits are located at the rear and sides of this room, and go down the stairs and meet in the War Memorial Park. Can I also remind people that this meeting is being webcast live on the internet. Mobile phones, can you please all make sure that your mobile phones are switched off or turned to silent? We now proceed to the agenda. Apologies for absence. I have heard nothing from Councillor Robert Tate. I was going to congratulate him on being appointed to Manydown Executive Committee, but we'll wait and see if he appears during the procedure. Declarations of interest, there are none. The minutes of the Manydown Executive Meeting held on the 3rd of June. Are these a true and correct report? Page 5 of 73? Agreed. Page 6 of 73? Agreed. And page 7 of 73? Agreed. I certainly true record of that. Petitions, we have none. Urgent items, there are none. And we now go to item 6. Councillor Isaac, would you like to give an update on the Manydown project, please?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I'm pleased to say that the taking forward of our proposals for development at Manydown is moving forward on a number of fronts very positively. And this report addresses some of those advances that have been made over the last since we last met. In particular, we have the officers have been liaising with the Basingstoke Planning Authority in connection with the local plan inquiry, and have prepared a statement of common ground with our colleagues in the planning department. Also noteworthy is the work that's been done in relation to the Five Ways Road junction, following some survey work that was undertaken by Hampshire County Council highways agents during September. That work's been further analysed, and as a result of that, HCC Highways have withdrawn their objection to Five Ways Junction, and on the basis that there is potential for future improvements, and this enables them to support around 300 homes on plot 6A during the emerging local plan to 2029. Another area where there's been progress has been in the putting together of the Manydown project team. I'd congratulate Richard Bailey here on his appointment as the project director overall for the two councils. We have now got an impressive team of external consultants appointed. They're working very well together on what is clearly a huge, complicated project. Further work is now underway in terms of environmental, geophysical and traffic surveys. And Campbell Reith have been appointed to undertake a provisional review of the initial indicative infrastructure costs. I'm delighted at the outcome of the more intensive public engagement that has taken place since the last meeting of this committee. We've had a series of member briefings, which I'm I would thank councillors for the constructive approach they've taken and the feedback that they provided. We've had one member meeting, briefing meeting in September, which was to provide an overview of the public engagement programme. And since then, over 4 days from the 12th of November, we've had a community design event, which I think was very beneficial in helping us understand what the concerns of stakeholders and members of the general public are in relation to the proposed development at Manydown. We had very good turnout, particularly from members of the public on the Saturday and the Sunday for that, and I think some of the ideas will be invaluable to us, and we're taking on board a lot of the concerns that have also been expressed at that. So I think that's been a very good step in the ongoing consultation with local residents, which will continue well into 2016 before we get to the point of submitting a planning application. There's also been work done on the delivery and financial strategy, which features as a separate report on this agenda. Next point I'd like to highlight is the continuing dialogue with Oakley and Dean Parish Council, who submitted their revised neighbourhood plan. And officers I know have been meeting the parish councillors or their planning group, and it's positive that some of the concerns that officers expressed to Oakley and Dean have been taken on board, but there are still areas where we think there's further work to be done, in particular in relation to local green space designation and green gaps and green gaps. But we're continuing to work with the parish council to explore areas of mutual agreement prior to the independent examination of the neighbourhood plan. We were asked by the MOC to provide a work plan, and that's now been provided. I'm pleased that we're now accessing and using the funding that's come through from the DCLG, the Department of Communities and Local Government. They've awarded us £850,000 to undertake feasibility studies. It's all very important in making sure that that our master planning and the provision of infrastructure at Manydown in the future is very thoroughly researched. The initial findings of those studies will be shared with members during January and February of next year. We've had a Manydown overview committee meeting on the 2nd of November, and again, I think that was a very constructive meeting, and I'm glad that there was a general level of support for the progress that we've been making to date, and in particular the view that we should be particularly exploring the joint venture approach to the delivery of Manydown. I think that's all I need to say at this stage. There's obviously a lot more said this time, and that's a reflection of how much work is going on. And I'd like to congratulate officers for all the hard work that they're doing and good work they're doing, and also offer my thanks to members of the public for their engagement with this very important development for the future of Basingstoke. It's all pointing towards being able to submit an outline planning application with our colleagues at Hampshire County Council and implement an appropriate delivery vehicle during the autumn of 2016. So what I would like to do now is make the recommendations. And these are as follows. We're recommended as committee that we consider the comments of the Manydown Overview Committee, that we note the progress made with the Manydown project and the DCLG studies, that we approve the provisional response to the Oakley and Dean Neighbourhood Plan, and that we approve the request to release £250,000 of grant funding received from the government to fund the DCLG studies, and also that we recommend approval of the release of the balance of the DCLG funding to enable payments to HCC and EM3 and final payments to Basingstoke and Dean Borough Council consultants and contractors during the course of 2015 and 16. And I think that's it.
Fine, thank you.
Thank you.
From the chairman's perspective, I'd just like to say thank you, Rich. I'm going to call you Richard now. Richard, that's you. No, it's Richard. For a very comprehensive and informative report. I found it very useful. You had some very good tables in there, very self-explicit as to what was happening, and I fully agree with the decision notice that we've just been read out. Okay, thank you. Paper C, which is delivery and financial strategy. If we are to discuss this paper, because it does have a pink document at the back, we must decide whether or not to, in this case it won't be exclude the press or the public, but we will have to turn off the webcast. Do we need to do that, or
No,
would you like to introduce it then, please, Councillor Isaac?
All right, thank you, Chairman. As you say, this report addresses the further thinking in relation to our delivery and financial strategy. As a starting point, there is a general agreement that we should be proceeding with a joint venture approach to this. By way of background, we've had all member briefings in July on large-scale project delivery, and mock and MEC joint informal briefings on the 31st of July and the 14th of September 2015. As a result of that work and discussions around that, we have, I think, generally concluded that a straightforward disposal of the land would be unattractive from a council point of view, particularly in terms of control. What we have here is a report prepared by the consultants GBA Grimley, which sets out a financial and risk-based analysis and evaluation of the principal delivery options for Manydown against the commercial objectives set out at the start of the report. One of the aspects of the work that's been done is a recommendation that the two councils have a clear business plan objective or objectives, because this needs to be made available and understood by future potential investment partners, and that's work that we will be undertaking as a next stage. As far as the GBA report is concerned, this sets out various options that the council could pursue, from an outright sale of the land following planning permission, through to providing the infrastructure to the sites and selling service plots, through to undertaking direct development itself, through to a joint venture approach with private sector partners. There recommendation of the report is that on the basis of risk and return calculations and in relation to the council's objectives generally, that the joint venture approach is the one that should be should be pursued further. I am happy to support that. There are variations of the joint venture approach, and we need to do further work on those. Those are outlined in broad terms in the paper provided by GVA Grimleys. So there's further work to be done, and we'll be reporting on that at the next stage. And I think that is all I need to say on that particular report. Yeah. So the decision notice in relation to this is that the Manydown Executive Committee resolves to consider the comments of the Manydown Overview Committee in respect of the matters contained in this report, and secondly agrees that the Manydown project should undertake further evaluation of the joint venture approach to delivery in order to enable the councils to focus on that option.
Thank you. And I'm also in agreement with that. And I'm pleased to see that we've incorporated what the MOC, Manydown Overview Committee, has had to say. Thank you. That therefore concludes the meeting at 15:20.